Your skin's shade isn't arbitrary. It's an incredible human evolution story. This science will totally shift how you perceive yourself and others. Let's dive in. Every unique skin color reveals a profound adaptation story. Your specific skin color holds powerful evolutionary secrets, but understanding it will reveal a deeper truth about humanity. Melanin levels in this skin type have fallen to the absolute minimum required for cell function. The explanation for this is strikingly straightforward. Specifically, these groups evolved in places where ultraviolet radiation became very scarce during winter. As a result, even the slightest melanin barrier could signify the crucial difference between adequate vitamin D levels and debilitating deficiency diseases. Studies analyzing ancient DNA from these communities unearthed a startling discovery. This profound loss of skin pigment occurred quite recently in an evolutionary context, specifically within the past 5 to 10 millennia. Instead of a slow progression, it was swift natural selection driven by environmental forces. When people moved into post-glacial northern Europe, individuals possessing lighter pigmentations survived at significantly higher rates compared to those with darker complexions. The selective pressure proved so intense that populations transitioned from moderate to very fair skin within perhaps just a few hundred generations. When considering light golden brown skin, we find it common among populations from the Mediterranean, North Africa, and certain parts of South Asia. These areas feature distinct seasons that generate remarkably varied UV exposure patterns. Studies tracking vitamin D synthesis discovered this is the sweet spot where both skin protection and vitamin production balance almost perfectly. In summer, when sunshine is plentiful, this skin retains enough melanin to avoid burning and safeguard folate. However, the crucial point is this. As autumn approaches and UV intensity decreases, that identical pigmentation level enables efficient vitamin D synthesis without needing major adaptation. Researchers examining groups near the Mediterranean made an astonishing discovery. This particular phenotype can adjust its melanin production seasonally with remarkable speed. When the skin is exposed to summer sun, it quickly tans, forming a temporary protective layer. If UV exposure lessens in winter, the melanin concentration diminishes, thus maximizing any limited sunlight absorbed by the skin. It's a highly dynamic system, having evolved for climates where seasonal extremes constantly alternate. Olive-toned skin could well be the most genetically diverse phenotype across the entire spectrum. It's prevalent throughout Southern Europe, the Middle East, North Africa, and parts of the Andes. This complexion is unique for its neutral base, often featuring greenish, yellow, or gray undertones, which appear to change under varying light conditions. Genetic research uncovers the reason. These populations are situated at crucial crossroads, where human migration blended genes from various ancestral groups. Their moderate melanin levels offer a beneficial compromise, sufficient protection for sunny summers yet light enough for vitamin D synthesis during cloudy winters. However, there's something extraordinary about the neutral undertones. Studies indicate they produce a unique optical camouflage effect, causing the skin to seem darker in bright light and paler in shaded areas. This isn't just aesthetic, it's highly functional. By appearing to adjust with ambient light, olive skin thus optimizes both UV protection and vitamin D synthesis across diverse conditions. Researchers examining groups with this specific phenotype discovered they sustain stable vitamin D levels across a broader array of environmental conditions than any other skin type. Warm beige skin developed in areas characterized by distinct seasonal cycles, specifically places where communities endured extended periods of weak sunlight, then followed by intense summer sun. It's found in southern and eastern Europe, parts of Latin America, and West Asia. This phenotype required an entirely different strategy. Melanin levels here decreased considerably compared to darker complexions. While this poses risks in strong UV, it offers enormous advantages in low light conditions. This adaptation is incredibly critical. Studies on Vitamin D synthesis indicate that populations residing at higher latitudes encounter a true survival threat due to deficiency. Lacking sufficient vitamin D, bones can soften from rickets, the immune system then weakens, and death rates surge, particularly among children. A study of skeletal remains from medieval Europe uncovered evidence of prevalent rickets in populations that had migrated north prior to their pigmentation adapting. Warm beige skin developed precisely to avert this issue. This reduced melanin enables UV penetration adequate for vitamin D synthesis, even during the weaker sunlight of spring and autumn. However, a trade-off exists. This skin type is more prone to burning than darker phenotypes. The evolutionary answer? These communities evolved a heightened tanning response. Exposing warm beige skin to summer sun swiftly triggers the production of extra melanin, forming a temporary protective layer. When winter nears and UV diminishes, that tan recedes, readying the skin for optimal vitamin D absorption. This seasonal adaptation is encoded within melanocyte response behaviors. Fair light skin extends this adaptation further, found mainly in Central and Northern Europe. This phenotype developed in areas where sunlight grows truly scarce for most of the year. The melanin concentration significantly diminishes, giving the skin a pale beige or pinkish appearance. The evolutionary pressure behind this is quite stark. Studies on vitamin D synthesis at higher latitudes demonstrate that with limited UV exposure, darker skin cannot physically produce adequate amounts of this vital nutrient. Scientists who study populations from these areas discovered that fair skin permits roughly 5 times greater UV penetration than the darkest skin types. In environments where winter days endure merely for a few hours and the sun hangs low on the horizon, this is not a slight advantage, it's the contrast between survival and death. Medieval records document devastating bone diseases in populations migrating to northern latitudes without sufficient time for pigmentation adaptation. Fair light skin optimizes every available photon of UV light, transforming it into essential vitamin D, even beneath overcast skies. This susceptibility to sunburn is not a design flaw. Instead, it's an acceptable risk. Historically, in Northern Europe, communities seldom experienced UV radiation intense enough to cause dangerous burns. The adaptation was optimized for scarcity, not for abundance. Deep ebony skin. This particular type represents the highest point of melanin production in humans. We are discussing skin tones found predominantly among populations from East Africa, especially among Nilotic groups residing close to the equator. Studies from the National Institutes of Health reveal that this skin possesses extremely high concentrations of eumelanin, which blocks roughly 95% of harmful ultraviolet radiation from reaching deeper skin layers. Consider that for a moment. Your body developed a biological shield so effective it competes with modern sunscreen. However, this is where it becomes truly captivating. Researchers found that the true evolutionary driver wasn't solely about preventing sunburn. A pivotal study in 2000 showed that UV radiation depletes folate, a B vitamin absolutely vital for both DNA synthesis and cell division. Sperm production in males often fails and fertility significantly drops. Dark pigmentation developed mainly to safeguard this crucial nutrient within the blood vessels beneath the skin. In areas where the sun shines intensely overhead throughout the year, populations lacking this adaptation were simply unable to achieve reproductive success. The melanin serves as a protective barrier, guaranteeing folate levels remain sufficient for healthy pregnancies and viable offspring. Next, let's explore what occurs when we consider rich, dark brown skin. This phenotype developed in West Africa and certain areas of South Asia, where UV exposure stays intense but grows a little more variable with seasons and weather patterns. The melanin concentration in this area is slightly less than deep ebony tones, which provides a fascinating evolutionary advantage. Data compiled by the Smithsonian's Human Origins Program reveals that this minor decrease enables the body to start making more vitamin D once sunlight successfully reaches the dermis. This represents a biological trade-off. It maintains robust UV defense while granting the body adaptability to environmental shifts. Something remarkable was uncovered by scientists studying populations within these areas. Sufficient melanin density is sustained by the skin, which safeguards against folate breakdown when sunlight is at its strongest. However, melanocytes dispense melanosomes with a subtle variation compared to the darkest skin types. Findings from 2022 research suggest this distribution setup enables about a 20% increase in UV penetration, compared with the darkest ebony complexions. This amount is sufficient to initiate vitamin D production even amidst cloudy conditions or shifting seasons, without jeopardizing defense during potent exposure. Mahogany brown skin, encountered throughout Melanesia, portions of South Asia, and among groups influenced by extensive migration, presents an even more intricate narrative. This hue exemplifies the precise engineering of evolution. Research examining photoprotection metrics indicates this skin coloring impedes roughly 70 to 80% of UV radiation. This represents a notable reduction compared to darker skin types, yet it remains considerably more protective than lighter complexions. The ruddy or coppery shades you notice serve more than just an aesthetic purpose. They point to the combined presence of eumelanin and small quantities of pheomelanin, functioning jointly. What scientists uncovered is as follows. This unique skin variant originated in tropical and subtropical locales, places where communities sought refuge from continually powerful sunlight, solar radiation, while simultaneously needing improved vitamin D synthesis since UV exposure was not uniform all year. The calibration is so exacting that people possessing mahogany brown skin are able to tan swiftly and uniformly. This reaction is initiated by UV-damaged DNA, dispatching signals to melanocytes, compelling them to generate additional protective melanin. Essentially, your body perceives a danger and adapts instantly. Nevertheless, this particular point connects all aspects. Contemporary genomic investigations have demonstrated that every human, irrespective of their skin tone, exhibit an equal quantity of melanocytes, the very cells synthesizing pigment. Rather, the variation is not in the count of pigment-generating cells, but in their activity levels and the manner they package and disperse melanin. A 2023 investigation revealed that particular genetic variations within genes governing melanin creation, the transfer of melanosomes, and tyrosinase's function are responsible for the full range of human complexions. Essentially, it's the identical fundamental biological apparatus, simply fine-tuned in distinct ways across hundreds of thousands of years through natural selection. What truly astonishing revelation has emerged? Human skin coloration stands as one of the most rapidly evolving characteristics within our genome. An examination of groups that travel to diverse geographical zones reveals that skin coloration can alter significantly in only 5,000 to 10,000 years. This rate of evolution rivals the development of antibiotic resistance in bacteria. This illustrates the immense power of selective pressure exerted by UV radiation. Now for the ultimate revelation that alters everything. Contemporary research investigating genes for vitamin D metabolism uncovered that groups didn't solely adjust via shifts in pigmentation. Certain populations developed increased vitamin D sensitivity on a cellular plane, enabling them to sustain well-being even with reduced vitamin D levels. Other groups created more effective vitamin D transport proteins. Evolution did not merely bestow us with varied hues, it fundamentally altered our complete interaction with solar radiation at a molecular scale. Your complexion is more than simply how you look. It stands as a biological chronicle, detailing your ancestors' habitats, the adversities they encountered, and their methods for survival. Each hue narrates a tale of human adaptation, inscribed within melanin and genetics, a narrative that has unfolded over 200,000 years. Such insights are uncovered by science once we examine beyond the superficial.